What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another video. I go by Canvas, and today we're gonna break down one of my samples. Yeah, man, let's not waste any time and just get straight into the project file. Alright, so we're inside the project file right now, and this sample is called Monk Mode, and we're at 118 BPM. Yeah, let me just play the sample before I break down each layers one by one. Alright, so that is the sample. I think the overall sample sounds really clean and polished. It's one of my favorite samples I worked on. And yeah, let's just break down the layers one by one. Alright, so starting off the sample, we have this layer, and this plays this melody. Just like really simple but like repetitive chords. This sound actually comes from it's either one of these banks, and this is the name of the preset. And for the effects, I added an reverb, isotope vinyl. Just played around with this knob, which like gives you like a detune feeling. Just a little bit to add some character. Ozone imager, widening the sounds. And an EQ, just like a subtractive EQ, because I felt like the frequencies around this area were kind of harsh, so I just brought it down. So that's the first layer. Second layer, another mellotron. This is the preset. I think it comes from the same bank as the previous sound. And this is the pattern it plays. It pretty much follows the same chords, but it just plays like a different rhythm. These are the same chords as these ones, just playing different rhythm. So for the effects on this one, I added a reverb, stock reverb from FL Studio, an EQ, cutting out the lows and the highs, an imager, boosting the high mids, and I panned this layer a little bit to the right, and I panned the first layer to the left, just so that each sound has its like own space in the mix, and this is what both the sounds combined sound. Followed by that is this layer, which you can't really hear in the final mix, but it adds like a movement, and this is like a guitar lead from cymatics that I chopped, and this is what it sounds like. For the effects on this one, no effects actually, just widening the sound. Then we go into the meat and potatoes of the sample. This is the main part of the sample, which consists of the most sounds. Alright, another layer that I added is this guitar phrase from Wavescrate, shout out my boy Mac, and this is what it sounds like. For the effects, just an EQ, cutting out the lows, and a wider. Another sound is this guitar lead, and this is the pattern that it plays. This comes from Kavi's Elements of Trap Kit, one of the guitar starters on there. I just chopped it, rearranged it. Just an EQ on this one. Like the previous layers, I panned this one to the right and the previous guitar layer to the left. So this is what we have so far. And just like the previous sample, in the first video I added a bass, and I think this is the same bass that I used. Same preset, same thing on here. Turned up the attack a little bit. And this layer, the first layer, I did an automation for the EQ because for this part I wanted the sub bass to take up the low end, but since there is no sub bass in the first part, I just automated it. And this is what we have. And other than that, it's just arrangement and putting the pieces together. I removed the sub bass and the top guitar melody for this part, and I brought it back in for the last part, but I removed the guitar phrase and the main layer, which is this one. That is pretty much the entire sample. Other than that, we have the master chain. First is cymatics origin. What I did was brought down the sample rate to around 27 kilohertz, and I brought this, so this is the detune knob, so I brought it to about like 13%. Followed by that waves cassette, but this time I used the clean tape preset, and I turned the mix down to around like 10%. And OTT, which is basically a multiband compressor. So basically the whole purpose of this plugin is to make everything sound like one single sound, if that makes sense. Basically like gluing the sounds all together. And I brought the depth to about 8%, and I turned down this downward compression to about 64-65%. An imager, just widening the sounds, pretty standard. An EQ, just cutting out like 26 Hz, because like your human ear cannot hear any frequencies below that, so there's no point in having these frequencies. And a limiter, just with the basic, not the basic, but this is actually called a brick wall limiter, the same one I used as in the previous video. And that is pretty much the entire sample. Hopefully you guys learned something. This is just a simple sample. Yeah, man. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video.